What's going on, friends? Welcome back to College Sports Corner. Happy New Year to you. Hope you had a good one. Hope you had a good, fun New Year's Eve and safe. Always want to be safe on New Year's Eve. A lot of crazy people out there. Man, the bowl games we have had in the past few days have been freaking incredible. Start with the Sun Bowl on Friday. I mean, there are other good bowl games, but Friday, Sun Bowl, Gator Bowl, and the semifinals on Saturday. A lot of crazy stuff happened. If you are a college football fan, these bowl games that we've had these last couple of days, man, I can only wait to see what happens today. Hopefully, we have some of that good stuff today, too. Hope you're off today. I know a lot of people went back to work. I took the day off because I'm not missing college football for work. Screw all that, man. Anyway, if you're at work, sucks. Sorry for you. But hey, put it on your computer. Act like you're working and just watch bowl games all day. And speaking of that, hit the subscribe button to this show so you can watch this show too at work and act like you're working. Huh? Win-win for everybody. All right, so we got a few news items today. We're going to go over these bowl games. Do a summary of some of the top things that happened in college basketball the last few days also. We were originally going to do this show next weekend, but with everything that's happened the last couple of days in the bowl games, I said, screw it, man. Let's do it Sunday morning, knock it out. That way people have something to watch before the bowl games today or watch at work. Anyway, let's get down to some news. Hey, TCU and Georgia national championship game. I honestly didn't think TCU would get in. I was pulling for TCU, being here from Texas. I really thought Michigan was going to win that game, but man, TCU pulled it out. Great game. The Georgia-Ohio State game, boy, that was a great game, especially in the end. Crazy stuff happened. So, yeah, TCU, Georgia, national championship game next Monday. I think they're starting it earlier now, which is good because, you know, some people that got work the next day, that thing started at 8 o'clock some years. And it's like, really? It's like, come on. Okay, Coastal Carolina quarterback Grayson McCall, he was going to transfer portal. He withdrew. I guess he's staying there at Coastal Carolina. So, hey, good news for them. Multiple, it doesn't only list one team, but multiple NFL teams, including Denver, interested in Jim Harbaugh. Remember he flirted with the Vikings a couple years ago and stayed at Michigan. We'll see what he's going to do here. This is a weird, crazy, stupid thing here. NC State, the radio voice for them, Gary Hahn, he was suspended after his comment during the Duke's Mayo Bowl. He was reporting the Sun Bowl score when he said, down among all the illegal aliens in El Paso, it's UCLA 14, Pitt 6. Way to flush your career down the toilet, dude. Yeah, way to go. You're awesome there. Says suspended. I'd probably fire him if I was a higher ups there, but hey, we'll see what happens there. Anyway, dumb mistake. Just stupid. I don't even know why you would even do that. Wofford men's basketball coach Jay McCauley, he resigns. School didn't say why. He's been there for 3 years. He did take a personal leave of absence sometime in the season, maybe in November or earlier this month, December. But they're not saying why. So anyway, okay, today. One of the bad things about spreading bowl games out over the weekend is, remember we used to get, how many bowl games we used to get on New Year's Day or when they played them? 8, 9, maybe 7, 8, 9. Today we only got 4, but they are interesting games, so that's the good thing here. Today, first starting off, number 22, 8-4 Mississippi State versus 8-4 Illinois in the Relia Quest Bowl, 11 a.m. Central, ESPN2. Good way to start off the day. Illinois, great this season. They're just getting better. Almost beat Michigan. Mississippi State, we're going to see what kind of tribute they pay to Mike Leach. That should be pretty interesting to see what they do. A lot of these bowl teams have been having stickers on the back of their helmets that say Mike and then pirate stickers and all that. So it'd be good to see how they pay tribute to him, to Coach Leach. 12 p.m. Central, ABC, number 17, 9-4 LSU versus 8-5 Purdue in the Citrus Bowl. That should be a pretty good one. Remember, Drew Brees is on the Purdue staff for this game. I think they say his quarterback coaching or assistant coach, something like that. So see him on the sideline. Um, Kind of conflicted here because that Citrus Bowl with LSU and Purdue should be good, but at the same time, 12 p.m. ESPN, that Cotton Bowl is going to be going. Number 16, 11 and 2 Tulane versus number 10, 11 and 2 USC. Tulane had an incredible year. They got an incredible quarterback and running back. We're going to see how they match up against a big Power 5 team. So, going to have the TV and the tablet going at the same time on this one. And then to round it off, which ought to be a pretty good game, 4 p.m. ESPN, the old Rose Bowl. Number 11, 10 and 2 Penn State versus number 8, 10 and 3 Utah. That should be a good one to cap it off. So good, really good, four really good bowl games today. Like I said, too bad we don't have more, but hey, in this day and age, it is what it is. So, but you got 4 good ones there that we can check out. All right, so let's get these bowl games. Going back a few days. Pinstripe Bowl. Minnesota 28, Syracuse 20. Actually, this was actually a game was scoreless in the first quarter. Neither offense really did much. But Minnesota's Morgan was 4 for 7, 58 passing yards, but 2 touchdowns. Mohamed Ibrahim, 71 rushing yards and a touchdown. Jackson had 2 TD catches for the Gophers. For Syracuse, Schrader, 330 passing yards, 38 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. And kicker Smith, I think that's how you say his name, he kicked 38-yard and a 40-yard field goal. Minnesota's Bryson had a 70-yard pick six in that one. Minnesota, only 213 total yards in this one. Syracuse had 477. Minnesota still was able to win by 8. Cheez-It Bowl, Florida State 35, Oklahoma 32. You look at this game and you're like, wow, Florida State and Oklahoma. Usually them guys are playing in the Orange Bowl or some big bowl like that, but they've kind of fallen off the last. Well, Florida State's slowly getting back to where they were. Oklahoma, they just fell off the map last year. So you wouldn't expect them to see those 2 teams in this bowl, but that's the bowl they got. And Florida State wins by 3. Travis for Florida State, 418 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Ward, 81 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. Wilson and Douglas had touchdown catches for the Seminoles. OU's Gabriel, 243 passing yards, a touchdown. He also ran for a touchdown. Barnes, 108 rushing yards and a touchdown. And Sawchuk, 100 rushing yards and a touchdown. And Farouk, I think that's how you say his name. Yeah, TD catch for the Sooners. Florida State defense held OU scoreless in the third quarter. That's probably what did it to them. The last OU drive, all kinds of penalties just killed that drive as they were trying to go down and win, but that's what happens. Florida State, 587 total yards. OU had 502 total yards. Alamo Bowl, very, very good Alamo. Did you see what happened before it was Steve Sarkisian? Poor guy, right before the intros, he's trying to hold them back. Hey, wait a few minutes. Evidently put his hand on Sark's chest. Sark went off on him, started yelling at him and everything. And I personally am a person that doesn't take that kind of crap. So if I was that guy, I probably wouldn't have fired because I would have yelled back at him, settle the F down. Don't get in my face and yell like that. You want to tell me something? Tell me something in normal tone of voice. Talk to me. Don't be yelling at me. So yeah, if I was that guy, I would have yelled back and gotten fired. But hey. Anyway, Washington wins, beats Texas 27-20. Penix Jr., 287 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Papa, 108 rushing yards and a touchdown. McMillan and Davis had touchdown catches for the Huskies. Texas Ewers, 369 passing yards and a touchdown. Brooks rushed for a touchdown and he caught a touchdown pass. Texas made a late run on Washington in this game, outscoring Washington 10-7 in the fourth. Just wasn't enough though. Washington kicker Henry, he had a 46-yard field goal. Washington, 445 total yards. Texas, 418 and only 49 rushing yards for the Longhorns. Washington is on their way. I think they're going to be contending for Pac-12 championships. If not next year, definitely in a couple of years. Texas is hard to figure out. They look good. I mean, look what they did. Alabama gave them a hell of a game. It's like every year lately they seem to lose games they shouldn't lose, and holds them back a little bit. So see what happens next year. And the Duke's Mayo Bowl, we just talked about that because NC State's radio guy's a freaking moron. Uh, I gotta say this about the Duke's Mayo. Their trophy, have you seen their trophy? It's whatever the base is, and they have a glass football or maybe even crystal football, like the old national championship trophy. That trophy looks a hell of a lot better than the national championship's glorified Christmas leg trophy. I mean, that national championship trophy's got to be one of the lamest trophies ever. But the Duke's Mayo Bowl trophy just puts it to shame. Looks a hell of a lot better. So CFP, you need a better looking trophy. All you gotta do is just stick a lampshade on it, and it looks like the Christmas leg from a Christmas Story, the leg from the Christmas Story. So get to work on that, would you? Anyway, Maryland beat NC State 16-12. Tualua, 221 passing yards, a touchdown, 2 interceptions. Smith Jr. had a TD catch. Kicker Ryland, he had 3 field goals in this one. NC State's Finley, 269 passing yards. But Dunn, the kicker, he scored all the points. 4 field goals in this one. Both teams had under 77 yards rushing in this one. Maryland, 342 total yards. NC State, 296 total yards in this one. Okay, the Sun Bowl. Man, what a great game. Crazy game, too. Back and forth, and then at the end, all kinds of crazy stuff happened. Pitt. Oh, Patty. Man, that guy's pretty good. 232 passing yards, a touchdown. Also ran for 72 yards. Hammond, 89 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. Means, 84 receiving yards and a touchdown. UCLA's DTR, 262 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. He threw 3 picks. Ran for another touchdown. Left in the second half with an injury, and the backup came in. When that happened, their demeanor kind of just went down, and Pitt made a game out of it and ended up winning that thing. Hayden the third, rushing yards, touchdown. 111 rushing yards, and a touchdown. Mokio and Atamala and Leia, all 3 had TD catches for UCLA. Pitt defense forced 5 turnovers. Like we said, DTR threw 3 interceptions. The Saul kicker for Pitt, Sauls, hit 5 field goals in this one. The last drive, UCLA was coming. There was a very controversial call, coaching call. 4th and 6, Pitt went for it late in the game. I'm like, why are you doing this? Why don't you just kick the field goal, get some extra points on the board? They went 4 and 6, didn't make it, and UCLA started that last drive, but man, they had some penalties on that, and Pitt defense stepped up. Pitt ended up winning it by 2 points. Sun Bowl was a great, great game, and at the same time, the Gator Bowl going on was a crazy game. Notre Dame wins, beat South Carolina 45-38. South Carolina led this game. They came out on fire, led this game 21-7 in the first quarter. For Notre Dame, Buchner, 274 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, ran for 61 yards and 2 touchdowns also. Man. Diggs, rushing touchdown, touchdown catch. Lindsey and Evans each had touchdown catches for Notre Dame. For South Carolina, Spencer Rattler, 246 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. He threw an interception. Legit, 78 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. Rogers, touchdown catch. Smith had a 47-yard pick 6 in this one. Fortune, this is crazy. 100-yard pick 6. Picked it off in the end zone, ran it all the way back. Pretty exciting. Great game, though. I mean, it really was. Notre Dame is up winning 45-38. Notre Dame, 558 total yards. South Carolina, 351 total yards. Arizona Bowl. I'm sure not a lot of people probably watched it because one big teams, but still, it was a good game. Ohio beat Wyoming 30-27. Ohio's Harris, it is overtime too. Harris for Ohio, 184 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Bangura, 138 rushing yards and a touchdown. James and Foster had TD catches each, and Foster winning TD catch in overtime. Wyoming's Peasley, 186 passing yards and a touchdown. Vaughn, 2 rushing touchdowns. Welch had a TD catch for the Cowboys. Ohio kickers, Vakos, he kicked 2 46-yard field goals and a 45-yard field goal in this one. Ohio, 385 total yards. Wyoming, 291. With that win, Ohio finishes the season 10-4. 10-win season for them. Good one. Orange Bowl. They were calling it Battle of the Orange People. It'd be orange everywhere. Tennessee, boy, they just all over Clemson, 31-14. Tennessee, Milton, the third, 251 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. Small had a rushing touchdown. White, 108 receiving yards and a touchdown. Keaton and McCoy, TD catches for Tennessee. Clemson's Klubnik, 30 for 54, 320 yards, not too bad. Did throw 2 picks, but he also ran for a touchdown. Shipley only had 72 rushing yards in this game. That's crazy. That guy was a workhorse, too. I mean, whenever they needed yardage this season, they just give it to Shipley. Guy's basically like a fullback. He would just burrow through the line. But, man, only 72 rushing yards in that Orange Bowl. Tennessee, 375 total yards. Clemson, 484 total yards. Saturday morning, the Sugar Bowl. Alabama, 45. Kansas State, 20. I figured Kansas State would put up a bigger fight, make it a closer game. I guess Alabama's just pissed off about everything that's happened the last few weeks. Bryce Young, 15 for 21, 321 yards, 5 touchdowns. Yeah, I think that guy was pissed. McClellan, rushing touchdown. Burton, 87 receiving yards and a touchdown. Latu, Brooks, Prentice, Bond. All 4 had TD catches for Bama. K-State scored 10 points in the first quarter. Bama defense... After that, Bama's defense held them to 10 points the rest of the game. So, oh, man. Anyway, K-State's Howard, 210 passing yards, 2 interceptions. Vaughn, 133 rushing yards and a touchdown. Shippers, rushing touchdown. And kicker Zentner kicked 2 field goals for the Wildcats. Alabama, 496 total yards. K-State, 401. Music City Bowl. It's like Kentucky didn't even show up. Iowa, tired of all the naysayers this year, said, let's win this bowl game. They did, 21-0. LaBosse for Iowa, 139 passing yards and a touchdown. Lakey, touchdown catch. Let's see if I can say his name right. Wangpa, 52-yard pick 6 for the Hawkeyes. DeJean, 14-yard pick 6 for the Hawkeyes. Kentucky's Wade, 98 passing yards, 2 interceptions. Not a good performance. McLean, 40 rushing yards. Not a good performance. Key did get 47 receiving yards. So, Iowa, 206 total yards, which is crazy. That's usually what a losing team has. But the losing team in this one, Kentucky, 185 total yards. Wow. Stoops, he's pissed about that one. All right, let's get to these semifinals. Crazy game, great games, too. I mean, they were close all the way down to the wire. Back and forth stuff. I mean, you really couldn't ask for any better semifinal games than that. But, TCU beats Michigan 51-45 in the Fiesta Bowl. Like I said earlier, I really thought Michigan was going to win this game. I was pulling for TCU, being, Texas team. I figured TCU would make it interesting, but I had no idea. Well, they did make it interesting. I just didn't think they would win. Michigan is just such a good team. I thought maybe TCU might be out of their league, but no. They proved they weren't. What an effort by them, by both teams, really. So, anyway, TCU's Dugan, 14 for 29, 225 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, but he ran for 57 yards and 2 touchdowns. DeMarcado, 150 rushing yards and a touchdown. Johnson, 6 catches, 163 yards, touchdown. Barber had a TD catch. Clark, 41-yard pick 6. Winters, 29-yard pick 6 for the Frogs. Michigan's McCarthy, 20 for 34, 343 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, which were pick 6s. Ran for 52 yards and a touchdown, though. Edwards, 119 rushing yards, Wilson, 18 rushing yards and a touchdown. Mullins had a rushing touchdown. Bell, 135 receiving yards and a touchdown. Wilson, 104 receiving yards and a touchdown. Moody had 3 field goals for the Wolverines. Michigan outpassed TCU, but TCU outrushed Michigan in this game. TCU outscored Michigan 21-6 in the first half. Michigan outscored TCU 39-30 in the second half. Slow scoring, but it's like halftime. Whatever adjustments they made, both teams came out on fire in this one. TCU 488 total yards. Michigan 527. I think it's 2 years in a row Michigan has played to get in the national championship game. Hasn't made it. If Harbaugh stays, which I would think he would, he's going to figure it out. He's going to get them to that national championship game here in the next couple of years, I would imagine. Anyway, yeah, great game. Great game. Peach Bowl. After we saw that Fiesta Bowl, we said, can that Peach Bowl, can that be just as good, please? Well, it was. Georgia beats Ohio State by 1, 42-41. Georgia's Bennett, 23 for 34, 398 yards, 3 touchdowns, interception, rush for a touchdown. Milton had a rushing touchdown. Smith, 129 receiving yards and a touchdown. McIntosh and Mitchell had TD catches for the Bulldogs. McConkey also had the 2-point conversion. Kicker how do you say his name? Palesny. 10 points for the Dogs in this one with his field goals and extra points. CJ Stroud for Ohio State, 23 for 34, 348 yards, 4 touchdowns. Williams had a rushing touchdown. Igbuka, 112 receiving yards and a touchdown. Harrison Jr., man, that guy had an incredible game. 106 receiving yards, 2 touchdown catches. Johnson had a TD catch also. Kicker Ruggles, 11 points in this one. Man, unfortunately, missed that 50-yard field goal as time was running out. And did you see all the stuff online? As he kicked the field goal, went wide left, if I remember right. And everybody started celebrating. The ball in Times Square and hit the bottom. I mean, somebody figured this out and put them next to each other. And that kick goes wide right. That ball goes boom. I mean, it's crazy. Go look it up. I'm not shitting you. Go look it up. So that really happened, and people have posted it online. It's crazy. First half was really explosive. Both teams played great in this game, the offense and defense, on both sides of the ball. It was a 4-point game at halftime. Second half came and both teams kind of went flat. Georgia went flatter than Ohio State. Ohio State was scoring. Georgia didn't score at all in the third quarter. And I'll be honest with you, at the end of the third quarter, I was like, you know what? Ohio State's going to win. I mean, there's no Georgia. They just shut Georgia down. Georgia ain't doing crap. Ohio State's going to win this game. But boy, they woke up in that fourth quarter. They outscored Ohio State 18-13 in the second half. I mean, something fired up in them. They really wanted it bad. They didn't want their season to end in the semifinal, and really showed up in that fourth quarter. Third quarter, they were dead sleeping. Fourth quarter, they woke up and started fighting. Great game. Both of those games were great. Georgia, 432 total yards. Ohio State, 467. If you're an Ohio State and a Michigan fan, your teams are up there, and they're going to get in there eventually. Hey, I know you're pissed and it sucks that you're not in the national championship game, but you could be like me, a Texas A&M fan who's sitting at home this bowl season because your coach is a freaking moron. Hey. All right, so let's get some basketball stuff. Kind of doing a little abbreviated basketball because all the bowl games going on. So this is just some highlight stuff that's been going on. Thursday, Northwestern beat Brown 63-58. Northwestern moved to 10-2. Aldridge, 24 points for Northwestern. Penn State beat Delaware State 60-46. They moved to 10-3. Lundy had 15 points, 10 rebounds for Penn State. Purdue beat Florida A&M 82-49 to move to 13-0. Newman for Purdue, 18 points, 4 rebounds. Charlotte beat Middle Tennessee 82-67. They are 10-3 now, Charlotte. Queens beat Austin Peay 81-77. Queens is 11-3. Dye had 27 points for them. Liberty beat Bella Marine 70-53. Liberty's 10-4. McGee for Liberty, 24 points in that one. Providence beat Butler 72-52. Providence is 11-3 now. Marshall beat App State 79-53. Marshall's 12-2. Oh, these records and stuff, they are what they were that day of the game. Some of these teams have played again since then, so we'll get to that later. Cornell beat Binghamton 86-70. Cornell 10-3. 5-8 Central Michigan beat 7-5 Michigan 63-61. 5-9 Eastern Tennessee State beat 8-6 Wofford 73-71. Wofford, we just talked about, their coach resigned, stepped down. Charleston beat Hampton 89-61. Charleston is 13-1. Estrada scored 31 points for Hofstra in their win against Delaware. 31 points is a pretty damn good game. 7-7, Robert Morris beat 9-5 Purdue, Fort Wayne, 75-70. James Madison beat Georgia State, 63-47. James Madison, 10-4 now. 3-11, Oakland beat 8-5 Milwaukee, 83-61. 10-3, Rice beat 8-4 Western Kentucky, 81-78. Western Kentucky led this game by 10 at halftime. 7-5, Coastal Carolina beat Louisiana, 10-3, 77-76. Brown for Coastal Carolina had 28 points in that one. Maryland beat UMBC 80-64. Maryland 10-3 now. Furman beat VMI 85-62. Furman is 10-4 now. Foster had 23 points, 8 rebounds in that one for Furman. In 2 overtimes, 11-2 UAB beat 8-5 UTEP 79-73. UTEP led that game by 4 at halftime. Grand Canyon beat Cal Baptist 73-59. Grand Canyon is now 10-4. Youngstown State beat Cleveland 85-71. Youngstown State is 10-4. Indiana State beat Evansville 91-63. Indiana State is now 10-4. Florida Atlantic 12-1 beat North Texas 10-3, 50-46. Grambling beat North American 101-42. Yes, Grambling was pissed about something. Oral Roberts beat Nebraska Omaha 82-89. Oral Roberts is now 11-3. In that game, Obamas for Oral Roberts, 32 points, 7 assists, 3 steals in that one. 10-4 Utah Valley beat 10-3 Sam Houston 80-64. Memphis is 11-3 after beating South Florida 93-86. In that game, Memphis' Davis had 24 points, 9 assists. Southern Illinois is 10-4 after beating Murray State 63-57. 6-8 South Dakota beat 11-5 St. Thomas, Minnesota 92-84. Camateros for South Dakota, 21.6 rebounds in that one. Southern Miss beats Troy 64-60. Southern Miss is now 12-2. South Dakota State, who's 6-8, not as good as the football team, beats Western Illinois, who is 8-5, 71-64. SIUE 64, Tennessee Tech 51. SIUE is 10-4 now. A lot of teams are 10-4 now. BYU beats Pacific by 20. BYU is now 11-5. Loyola Marymount beats Portland by 20. Loyola Marymount is now 11-4. Cincinnati, another one that's 10-4 now after beating Tulane 88-77. UC Santa Barbara is 10-2 after beating Cal State Fullerton 66-58. Mitchell for Santa Barbara, 24 points. He was 6 for 6 from the free throw line in that one. Denver is now 10-5, but it took them 3 overtimes to beat 5-10 UMKC 85-83. St. Mary's beat San Diego 85-58. St. Mary's is now 11-4. That one, Saxon for St. Mary's, 20 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists. Nice for him. Drake is 11-3 now after beating Valparaiso 68-63. 13-3 Santa Clara 79. 11-5 San Francisco 67. Way to go, Santa Clara. Utah beat Cal 58-43. Utah is 10-4. Cal is 1-13. Ah, man. Colorado Simpson, 31.7 rebounds, 4 assists in their 73-70 win over Stanford. Going to Friday, Hawaii's 10-3 after beating UC Davis 74-66. Pitt and North Carolina. I watched that game before the bowl games. That was a great game. Pitt beat number 25 North Carolina 76-74. Burton for Pitt, 31 points, 6 rebounds. Carolina pretty much led the whole game until the last few minutes. Pitt just kind of came on fire, and but North Carolina let Pitt hang around. They never got a real big lead on them. They just kept let Pitt just hang on back there, and it bit them in the ass. Pitt came back and won that game. Miami moved to 13-1 after beating Notre Dame 76-65. 8-6 Lipscomb lost to 6-6 Stetson 86-80 in overtime. 11-3 Clemson beating 11-4 NC State 78-64. Tyson for Clemson 31 points, 15 rebounds. Damn. 8-5 Siena beat 9-5 Quinnipiac 83-76. Battle of North Dakota. North Dakota State beat North Dakota 71-49. Number 15 Wisconsin is now 10-2 after beating Western Michigan 76-66. Crawl for Wisconsin 25 points, 8 rebounds. 11-3 USC beat 9-5 Washington in Seattle 80-67. USC's Ellis 27 points, 7 rebounds. Number 11 UCLA is 12-2 now. They beat Washington State by 1, 67-66. Jaquez Jr. for the Bruins 20 points, 8 rebounds. That brings us to Saturday. It took overtime for 14-1 Charleston to beat 8-6 Towson. Number 19 Kentucky 9-4. Crazy Kentucky's 9-4. Beat its rival Louisville, who's terrible, 86-63. I think Louisville's only got like 2 wins this year. 8-7 Seton Hall beat 11-4 St. John's 88-66. Dawes for Seton Hall had 22 points in that one. Number 18 TCU, who's 12-1 now, beat 10-3 Texas Tech 67-61. TCU's Miles Jr. 23 points in that one. Texas Tech actually led this game by 11 at halftime. TCU came back. TCU, boy. Hell of a football team, hell of a basketball team, and the past few years they've had a hell of a baseball team, so we'll see what happens here in the spring. Number 22, 12-3 Xavier beat number 2, 14-1 UConn, 83-73. Jones for Xavier, 16 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. Number 13, 10-2 Virginia beat Georgia Tech, 74-56. Clark for Virginia, 15 points, 2 rebounds, 8 assists in that one. 10-4 Wake Forest, 77. 11-3 Vautech, 75. 6-10 Columbia beat 10-4 Yale, 62-60. Bryant, 10-4 beat Binghamton, 82-78. Number 17 Duke, who's 11-3, beat a 4-11 Florida State team, 86-67. Young for Duke, 20 points, 12 rebounds. 10-4 Princeton beat 9-6 Harvard, 69-66. 11-3 Florida Gulf Coast beat Jacksonville, 72-65. 3-13 Merrimack beat 8-5 Wagner by 10 points. Number 5 Arizona, 13-1, beat Arizona State, who's 11-3, 69-60. Tubelis for Arizona, 21 points, 9 rebounds. Iowa State, who's 10-2, beat number 12 Baylor, who's 10-3, 77-62. Kalsher for Iowa State, 23 points in that one. 11-4 James Madison beat 12-3 Marshall, 72-66. 11-3 Charlotte beat La Tech, 68-66. Williams for Charlotte in that one, 31.6 rebounds. Damn. Number 4, 12-1 Kansas beat 8-5 Oklahoma State, 89-67. Oklahoma State's really fallen off the basketball map the last few years. Number 6, 12-1 Texas beat 9-4 Oklahoma, 70-69. Another one, Oklahoma used to be pretty good at basketball. I don't know what's happened there. Number 3, 14-1 Houston Cougars beat 10-4 Central Florida, 71-65. Mark for Houston, 19 points, 6 rebounds. A few more left from Saturday. 9-4 Old Dominion beat 10-4 Louisiana, 70-66. St. Bonaventure, who's 7-7, beat 9-4 UMass, 83-64. Banks III for St. Bonaventure, 31 points, 2 rebounds. 10-5 Purdue Fort Wayne beat 10-5 Youngstown State, 76-71. 13-2 Southern Miss beat 7-8 App State, 76-70. Oral Roberts, who's 12-3, beat 10-6 Denver, 80-62. 6-9, Southeast Missouri State beat 10-5 SIUE 82-73. 7-8, South Dakota State beat 11-6 St. Thomas, Minnesota 71-64. It's like the second game St. Thomas, Minnesota has dropped. Now, the Dakota teams too. I think they lost to another Dakota team, so I don't know what's going on there. Detlinger for South Dakota State, 22 points. 8-6 Eastern Kentucky beat 11-4 Queens, 88-83. 11-3 San Diego State beat 11-3 UNLV, 76-67. Bradley for San Diego State had 23 points, 4 rebounds in that one. 12-2 UAB beat UTSA 90-67. Walker for UAB, 31 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. 8-9 Pacific beat 11-5 Loyola Marymount 78-72. Blake for Pacific had 23 points in that one. 12-4 St. Mary's beat 13-4 Santa Clara 67-64. 8-8 San Diego beat 11-6 San Francisco 80-68. Arlington for San Diego had 23 points, 7 rebounds. Last but not least, 12-1 Kansas State 82. Number 24, 10-3 West Virginia 76 in overtime. Kansas State beats West Virginia in overtime. That is it. Bowl games are fixing to start. College game days on. I would imagine they're probably at the Rose Bowl. But who knows? It might even be at the Cotton Bowl. Tulane making that dream season run there. All right, so hey, y'all enjoy your games today. Like I said, if you got the day off, relax one more day before we gotta all go back to work. I know some of us are back to work already. We'll be back on probably, because I took today off, I am working all the way until Friday. So probably do a show on Saturday morning or Sunday morning. We'll see. Anyway, enjoy the bowl games. Have fun. Be safe. We'll see you next time.